show. This is the weekly AI podcast that we do, and we call it the
Artificial
Artificial
future. Haven't
Future.
done this in like a month.
I've been gone for 3 weeks plus, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we have not been doing the AI podcast. So this is the first one in like a month or so, right? So, but anyway, we've got a lot to cover. What's just amazing every time we prepare for one of these podcasts is the amount of content that is collected and generated, all the new stuff that comes along, and it seems to be on an exponential scale. Which is exactly one of the reasons that we do this podcast, is to help people, including ourselves, adjust, integrate, and deal with this rapid change in technology. By the way, before we get started, I want to introduce some of our people behind the scenes. They don't get a lot of credit and visibility. Can we put cameras on each of you too as I do this?
I think so. Yeah, we should be good.
So we've got Jesse, first of all. He's our digital manager, and he's running the big board back there. And he looks like a musician with, hands flying everywhere constantly. Switches the cameras, does all of that. And then we've got Cass back there, first-class editor. There she is. So what's new, Cass? Tell us about yourself or something.
I survived a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, and you're recovering and you're surviving. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm an editor and an animator. So
Glad to have you back. What's the current project you're working on?
currently working on a Moore's Law. It's a 19-minute video. I've got about 5 or 6 minutes done so far, filled with a bunch of animations and lots of good B-roll.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a very good section on AI in there as well.
Yeah, that's actually the section I'm working on currently.
Are you? Yes. And Cass is a ace with animation, so this should be a good video. We think it'll be released, within the next week or two?
Probably another couple weeks. It's very, very long video, but this is going to be a big one.
Okay. Then finally, we've got Aaron back there as well. Say hi to us, Aaron. There he is.
Hey, what's going on?
So, Aaron, what do you do? Tell us about your background and what you're doing.
I'm helping out with doing shorts, checking social media, posting, and whatever you guys need me to do.
Mm-hmm. Your camera's looking good back there, and yeah. We've changed our studio, by the way. The lighting is different. There's a lot more space now looking out. We used to have all kinds of lights converging on us. And we continue to improve the production quality of what we're doing. And it's all for you guys out there that enjoy our podcasts.
You know who I heard from last night? I think you said he's still in Europe, Chris James. So
Yeah.
hi, Chris, if you're watching. He said he loved the new lighting and he wants to know what we did to upgrade. So I'm going to be sending him some updates on what we did
Awesome.
to revamp.
He is, when he comes back, he usually comes to our studio, and we can show you some of the changes we've made as well. It's not the final stage yet. We're going to move everything upstairs eventually and have a fully built-out studio with everything anticipated. Right now, you'll see power cords everywhere and cables hanging, but it works, and it works well. So appreciate you joining us. One of the first headlines for the AI podcast is GitHub CEO says Copilot will write 80% of code sooner than later. GitHub, it's not anything that I use daily, but our social media team is very familiar with it. It appears to be a repository of programs and code. And I think you had a very specific definition for it, Jesse.
Yeah, it basically is somewhere that a lot of people that code can store their code, and it's a way to manage version control as well when you have new releases for your application or your software.
It's actually really neat too, because I used it in college when I went through programming. You can work on the same code while somebody else works on that same code, and the updates are simultaneous.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, real time. Yeah.
Real time, simultaneous.
So you're seeing the improvements as they occur. Awesome. Well, anyway, the headline here goes with an article, and they say over the last 15 years, GitHub has become an indispensable part in the world of coding. It was launched in 2007, and it is now used by over 100 million developers to collaborate, track changes, and store their code. It was acquired by Microsoft in 2018 for $7.5 billion. And GitHub is now developing a reputation for something else, radically changing the way that coding works. And the catalyst is it's an application called Copilot. It's an AI tool that generates code as easily as OpenAI's ChatGPT, producing sonnets. In fact, they say Copilot is powered by OpenAI's Codex, a large language model trained on code scraped from the internet. Personally, I don't do a lot of coding and programming, but there is some. And I was just amazed over the last year or so as I began to use ChatGPT to help me with a old Visual Fox Pro program, which is archaic. Aren't too many developers left that know much about it. And I gave ChatGPT a chance to help me meander through coding issues. And it never disappointed. It was amazing how much it knew about this archaic software.
Here's the website for Copilot.
There you go. The world's most widely adopted AI developer tool. So they say that by simply pressing the tab key, a developer using Copilot can finish a line, generate blocks of code, or even write entire programs. And according to GitHub, over 10,000 organizations ranging from Coca-Cola to Airbnb have signed up for Copilot's enterprise version, and more than 30,000 employees at Microsoft now regularly code with the assistance from Copilot. Of course, reading between the lines here, coding will eventually be done by AI.
Yeah, I think Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, said that we'll be using regular language to write code soon, basically. So there really isn't a point in learning programming language. I don't know how true that is. I think we're still a little bit away from that, but it's coming.
And there's still college courses, I'm assuming, that are, offering coding classes. So another recent development is this program called Gen 3 Alpha. And it is a prompt-based program that generates videos. It is a extension of Sora, and it has Sora level quality.
So hold on, it's not a part of Sora. Sora hasn't come out yet. That's the OpenAI solution. This one, Gen 3, is from a company called Runway. They're a competitor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the concerns with this is, or with even Sora, that it's going to replace Hollywood. In fact, there was a comment on this particular article from one of the viewers, and they said, as if millions of SAG-AFTRA voices suddenly cried out in terror. And if you've seen any of these beta versions, and they're typically short, they limit them to, 10 seconds at this point?
Yeah, I think 10 seconds.
Yeah. The realism, the clarity, the fidelity, all of the things that you expect from a expensive Hollywood production.
So I'm going to pull them up right now.
Oh, good.
On their website.
Okay. This one with a face, there's a narration that goes with this. And what was impressive to some of the people that understand this well is the dynamic lighting that is changing and occurring, which apparently for AI is somewhat problematic at this stage anyway. The one that I liked was the spaceman charging through. Oh, there you go. You've got the trip through the weeds down below there.
I mean, just the detail is pretty good. The other one that we saw was cool is the concert at night with fireworks and smoke and all that.
Sure. The immediate cost savings by using software like this are related to things like setting up sets, for example. Travel costs, if you're trying to shoot on location in a tropical setting, for example. It's an enormous expense to take equipment, actors, the employees that do the setups, all of the staff
You
to
see
these
this? Though
remote
this
locations.
this is like indistinguishable. Some of this is this is their photorealistic humans slide, and it's pretty good.
Hmm.
No more weird hands or any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, let's see. Do they have one with hands? Sure.
Now, staying for a moment with the cost savings, not only do you have an enormous amount of infrastructure related cost savings because you don't have to take hundreds of people on location, and the material costs, creating the sets, the carpentry, the paint, the plumbing, the transport, and all of that.
Mhm.
Simply using prompts, you recreate that with words, and it takes all of that cost out of the equation. And then finally, you have the actors' salaries. We're talking sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. All of that will go away implementing this kind of technology.
We're gonna have to look into that big strike that happened, I think, last year,
Hmm.
where SAG-AFTRA and all those people in Hollywood were striking because I think they had a lot of AI in that agreement that they got to at the end, but I'm not sure how strict it is on using this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely a component in the settlement. That future use of this type of technology was to be limited based on the final settlement.
Mhm.
But people are going to get around that. There are going to be ways to circumvent a lot of that, especially with the kind of money that's involved. What do we have here? A spaceman?
Now this is look at the detail. These are little rock pebbles.
Okay.
It's showing just how detailed it can get in some of this stuff.
Then we have the psychological element. From what we know currently about this level of entertainment, movies, for example, things that tweak our reality and take us into a completely different one. The human element includes a affinity for the people involved in the production. That's why these actors and actresses are hounded, endlessly, because we deify them. How will a AI generated movie star be regarded by the general population? That's going to be a whole uncharted territory at this point. Will we deify them the same way? And if we do, will they go on tour? Will they do concerts? Will they? And if so, how? Will it be avatars? That's a whole unanswered question, which I'm fascinated by. See that evolve.
Aaron had pointed out not too long ago that he found they're doing a contest, like the first beauty pageant for AI creators has been started now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So there's already some strange things happening on actually making them personalities, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, P, we tried entering you into it, but we're waiting on a callback.
Well, we still have people out there that suspect that I am AI because of the sunglasses and the occasional green screen tweaks that occur. Like, for example, I have a hole in my head. You see that? All right. So this is going to be an interesting evolution. It looks like we've got a bunch of questions coming in. Thank you for joining us, all of you. Instagram, FNE Mobile says hi there and have a nice day. Likewise. Highlander is with us. Thank you, Highlander, for joining us. He says, I'm back. I just drove a Model 3 Plaid in ludicrous mode. You know what? I saw something. Was it on Facebook? And yeah, it was a eventful, I think, experience for whoever it was. I don't know if that was you, Highlander. But anyway, TikTok, Toki says, are these videos pre-computed or generated in real time as TikTok does? Folks, this is real time. So if you see me picking my nose, it's the real thing. Nothing is being edited out here. Highlander's saying, I'm trying to use ChatGPT-4 to help get my little t-shirt business up and running. It takes a little work, but I'm sure it'll be worth it. I guarantee you it is. It has become an indispensable tool for me and our business. We use it constantly. And the most interesting one to me, at least, is what we're doing at Gruber Motor Company by assembling our knowledge base into a GPT type large language model. And the technicians, engineers are continuously using that to help them diagnose and troubleshoot. And of course, as they resolve things, they're feeding that into the large language model as well. So we continue to get better at an AI pace. Highlander also says, and a little off topic, we've been very busy. The Muskegon, Michigan event was awesome. What he's talking about there is a Tesla owners event that just finished up, apparently. He says, I was there for both days, pictures soon to follow. I found out that everybody in the Tesla community knows Pete Gruber, and I'm very proud and humbled to be associated with you. I don't know if that's notoriety or fame. Could be both, a combination. I was the only guy in the kilt, so I stood out as your buddy. Okay. Highlander is Scottish, and he wears the traditional garb when appropriate. TikTok, Precisely 42 says, the specific choices in art forms can carry meaning, but AI misuses these a lot. TikTok again, Super Buddy says, what scares me is AI is taking over humanity, like in Terminator. You know, I just watched one of these Hollywood movies about a robot. And Hollywood will definitely create a lot of bias and prejudice into their productions, playing on your fears. And I'm the exact opposite believer that anything that is more intelligent than us is not going to be the same on the violence scale and brutality scale as humankind is. It is generally the uneducated that are the most violent. As people progress, evolve, and become self-actualizing, hurting other life forms is no longer anything that is useful or found to be useful.
So I have a challenge for that, because you like to make that argument a lot.
I do.
So what about this, though? I propose that in AI, first we have to understand what violence is. Violence is a word that humans created to describe an event that's based on our emotion of how we feel about that event. Violence in and of itself, while it doesn't feel good, obviously, it could mean absolutely nothing to a machine that doesn't understand our interpretation of what violence is. So it could commit violence on us without even ever acknowledging what it is.
Good point. Yes. Okay.
So that's the argument of it's not going to know whether or not it's hurting us because it doesn't understand that concept.
There are various forms or definitions for violence. I fully agree. The type of violence that I'm describing here is the type that harms another human being, that harms another life form, with willful intent, not accidental.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a malady that has plagued humanity for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
We're still doing it, guys. I mean, I talk about this all the time as well.
Yeah.
We've been killing each other now for thousands of years, and we never caught on that that's not really useful, productive, and anything that we should be doing. So
True.
that's my definition. All right. Here's an interesting headline. McDonald's plans to stop testing AI for now. I didn't get a lot on this article, but what I got was that the reasons they gave in this article are people like human contact, something that AI and all these other robotic concepts cannot give. We're seeing more and more stores closing their self-checkout kiosks. Even Walmart, they say, started opening up more lanes with checkers recently. This will be an interesting thing to keep an eye on because, again, this is one of the psychological impacts of this mechanization that is rampantly taking over, especially the introduction of machines and robots into our daily lives. Trust is definitely another part of that issue, even though that AI entity may be able to do a much better job of writing that legal brief or whatever it is that they're doing. will we trust it like we would a human being, even as flawed as we are? All right. The main theme of this particular podcast, though, if you've noticed in the thumbnail, is the robots are coming, as Farzad Misbahi's T-shirt used to say.
Mhm.
And Elon made some pretty radical statements recently at the Tesla shareholders meeting. And he said that, first of all, my prediction is, this is a quote from Elon, that we, Tesla, will have over 1,000, maybe thousands of Optimus robots working at our factories next year, 2025. All right. But then he made another wild claim.
Yeah.
That they're going to produce 100 million robots, Optimus robots.
A year.
A year. Okay. And you ran some numbers on that. Did you find that to be plausible?
I mean, they would have to significantly increase the number of like service centers or wherever they're going to be building these things, because they would need hundreds of locations around the world building these. But it's not impossible, but it's a very, very ambitious goal, I think. And then I don't know if you saw the news while you were gone on your vacation, but it was I think Aaron saw it. They have two, I think, working in one of their factories now. So they actually have a couple of Optimus running right now in a service center or a production center somewhere.
I've got a little segment on that, and the article there said it sounds like Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot, may finally be helping build the company's cars. In a rundown on X of what the company has achieved since 2018, ahead of the shareholders' vote on Elon Musk's multi-million-dollar pay package, Tesla said it had deployed 2 Optimus robots performing tasks in the factory autonomously.
Yep.
It is, however, unclear which factory the robots are operating in or what tasks they are completing. And the article here, actually, the magazine Business Insider contacted Tesla for confirmation, but didn't immediately hear back to get those 2 questions answered. But they did say in this recent earnings call, and actually this was the one in April, that Optimus would be able to perform factory roles by the end of this year and would go on sale by the end of 2025. Now,
Pretty quick.
we're talking about a robot that has been so far targeted price-wise in the $20,000 to $30,000 range, which is, like your average car. And how many people would buy something like that? And why would you buy it? I guess that's the more important question. They did make some predictions here and what this robot could do. This was, again, Elon. And he says, this article, Elon Musk says he wants Optimus to be a good-looking robot that people think of as a friend. They're not going to humanize the robot like some of these other companies that are developing humanoid-looking type robots. And we'll get into that in a moment here. There's a Chinese article that I have for you here that's actually going to create female companions using robots. But
Elon said that you could like babysit your kids and stuff.
Exactly, yes. He says he wants you to think of Tesla's Optimus robot as a friend, and this was at the Cannes Lions International Festival for Creativity. He has some very ambitious goals for the humanoid robot. He said, I think people will start to regard their personal Optimus robot as sort of a friend, likening it to characters from pop culture like Star Wars robot R2-D2, or maybe C-3PO, a little bit more serious robot there, not as playful. He said, or this article says, while he clarified that Tesla was not currently planning to make Optimus look like a person, he joked that the company wanted to make the robot good-looking. I don't know what that means, but he said that the fully functional bots would be capable of performing a wide range of tasks, acting as a sort of personal assistant for a household. And he added, you can ask it to walk the dog, take care of your house, babysit the kids, cook dinner, play piano. So it's a generalized humanoid robot. We could have used something like this because being away 3 weeks, we had to get people to come in and water my wife's plants. She's very attached to all of the greenery that we have inside our house. And I'm sure a robot would have done that extraordinarily efficiently. Probably would have had a little probe that went into the soil, checked the level of moisture, and then gave just the correct amount of water and maybe even fertilizer.
Yeah, we're in Arizona. You just get her a cactus.
Yeah, well, those are outside, and those are the low maintenance versions to keep me from
So we
spending
have
too
some
much
questions
time.
up there, Pete.
All right, TikTok, precisely 42. If machines could understand being hurt, they'd probably try to defend themselves.
Hmm.
Now,
good
that
point.
has to do with programming too, though, does it not? You remember all of the Hollywood versions are there is a directive embedded in the code in each robot that it can never harm a human being.
See, but then we have the issue where like Tesla just took all the 300,000 lines plus of code out of their full self-driving, and they
did.
put a neural net in to let it make its own decisions. So then how do you hard code that in there?
All right. So you may be right, precisely 42.
Possible.
TikTok Super Buddy says viruses are easy to create where AI can be hacked. Good point. Highlander says, Pete, you're such a visionary that you are AI. Well, thank you for the compliment. I find AI to be just fascinating and a much superior form of intelligence than what we have evolved into. Instagram UIS Upcat says, looks like marketing will have a new terminology. I don't know what we're referring to back there somewhere.
I think when we were trying to come up with a definition of violence, he's probably just saying that marketing is going to shift as well.
Good point. Yes. Highlander says, I don't like it when I drive through the fast food restaurants, and I do. It's pre-recorded or AI. I want to talk to a real person for my order. Then I can hold them accountable. Good point. But let me give you my Starbucks story, which I've probably given a number of times. I drive up Sunday mornings at usually 6 o'clock or so, which is way too early for most people to be effective on the job, right? I get that. And I go up to the kiosk outside, the screen, and they ask, how can we help you today? Or, what kind of breakfast can we make for you, even though I'm there for coffee? But anyway, I always give them the same order, slowly, methodically. And I'm telling you, 50% of the time I get up to the window and it's wrong. And I think it's because humans are involved. While I'm giving that order to that kiosk screen, it's showing me exactly what I said. So whoever's on the other end inside, all they have to do is read that and then make that. Well, anyway, this is where AI comes in. I would love to have AI making my coffee instead. And I'll give you an example. While in Europe, Austria and Germany, Bavaria actually, we stayed at some hotels, and they have these machines there. They're coffee machines. They've got to be extremely expensive. They got the beans on top, and like plastic containers, visible plastic, and then they've got there's a screen, like an LCD screen, and with maybe 8 selections: cappuccino, espresso, milk coffee, whatever you want, hot chocolate. You push that button. And the entire time I was there, every time I had one of those cups, it was 100% correct, accurate, without flaw. That was machines, and that was AI.
We're going to get one of those, right?
Oh, man, I wish. We're going to need to sell a lot of equipment to get those. And this thing's got to be like $5 to $10 grand, I would imagine, based on its quality. I mean, even the cheap ones you mentioned are $1,000.
Yep, just a
Keurig.
little espresso one.
We've got Anthony Venditti joining us from Facebook. Thank you. He says Elon is a big talker. He always overstates his timelines. Well, yeah, he does tend to overcommit and underdeliver. But the good part is usually he delivers what he overcommitted on.
Just takes longer than the timeline.
Right.
So he usually does get to what he said he's going to do, but the timeline is the problem.
And in his defense, maybe he's listening to people that want to please him rather than going out on the floor and, looking to see what they're actually going to be able to do.
Yeah, there's a funny clip during the show, during his last Tesla shareholders thing, where he says that he can be a little over-ambitious at times. So he is self-aware of that.
But he's a good guy. He's well-intentioned. That's the important part. DJ Sentinel from TikTok says, "Are you sponsored by that sunglass company?" No, these are Oakley's, and someday, as our subscriber base continues to grow, these kinds of companies are going to come to us, and they're going to give us all kinds of free stuff to promote there. But we're not there yet. We don't get anything if we do product placement. If you look over at Jesse, he's probably got some liquid death cans over there, but he doesn't get anything for that. There you go.
Not sponsored.
Facebook,
Yet.
Anthony Venditti says, "Reading is a failure in this country, plus the business rush to employees to go faster and faster to increase productivity." The time period that we're in now with this exponential explosion in technology, I make a prediction that workers are going to be obsolete at some point in time. Humans involved in creating something. Now, the question then becomes, what are we as humans going to be doing when machines are doing everything for us? What will happen to things like currencies when we no longer have a need for them? Is this what we call the age of abundance? Those are the exciting futuristic things that you can think about if you need to get your head around not fearing this rapid transition that we're undergoing.
Well, the thing that's going to happen, I think, is similar to what happened, several hundred years ago. Not even that long ago. The vast majority of the population didn't even know how to read at all.
Yeah.
95% of people were illiterate, and now I think it's the opposite. I think probably 90% plus are literate. So I think people will not be doing physical labor. We'll have drones and stuff doing, and robots doing the fruit. And we've seen those little drones that fly around picking fruit and cleaning the windows and doing all that stuff. So people may now become fluent in things like code or mathematics or maintaining AI systems. I think is going to be the new job.
Or endeavors we haven't even conceived of yet.
True. Entirely new markets.
There's an image you can throw up, Jesse, AI fear, and it probably encapsulates some of what you just said. I found this one humorous. Let me bring up mine here so that I can read portions of it. There you go. So, yeah, exactly what you said. In 2003, the claim was Photoshop kills the careers of graphic designers. In 2024, AI art steals from real artists and uses no skill. In the year 1440, the printing press was claimed to ruin the career of scribes. Well, it makes sense, I guess. If you look at some of the old documents, those are all handwritten. And they used feathers, and they used quills, and they used ink,
Yeah.
All of those industries went away. But did mankind cave in? No, we improved. We moved on. In 1850, photography steals work from artists.
Yeah.
They had the same existential fears back then, I'm sure.
So be careful when you're turning away from the mic that far because it's kind of
Okay.
cutting
All right,
out
so
a
you
little
can't
bit.
hear me.
You want to drag it over there?
So in 30,000 BC, the problem there was painters make storytellers obsolete. And then in 3400 BC, writing robs livelihoods from orators. So this isn't the first time, I guess, in history that these kinds of fears have swirled. And look at us, we've survived. So I'm
I think
sure
the
we can
one
do
thing
this.
that's different is it's going to happen to all industries very rapidly.
Yeah.
Not just like one thing at a time. Like it's not just the printing press. It's like the equivalent of the printing press in every industry simultaneously.
You make a good point. Previously, it was easier to assimilate because of the pace.
Mm-hmm.
This is on an exponential curve.
That's the only real difference that I can see. But yeah, it's big.
YouTube wants us to do a commercial. The only guy that can do that effectively is Aaron. Aaron, are you equipped to do a commercial and infomercial at this point?
Ooh, Aaron, press your button on your camera real quick.
Oh, 1 second.
We're having a slight technical difficulty. One moment.
All right.
So
there we go.
I just got new glasses. I am officially 41 years old, and apparently going blind. So I went into VisionWorks and they said, hey, listen, you're going to get these new glasses. You're spending a lot of money on them. How are you going to protect them? And I said, don't worry. I've got a handy dandy sunglass holder that I can use. And all I got to do is just pop them in, close them up, and now they're protected.
Nice.
What do you think about that?
Pretty
And
sweet.
Yeah.
It's a soft leather.
It's a soft leather. You can go on our website and order them up right there. Use the promotion code Aaron, AARON, save you some bucks there. And is Cass up and running?
This one in particular that he was just holding survived a motorcycle accident.
Ooh, nice.
Okay. So
This
that's
is
a
the one that
keeper.
I had for my sunglasses.
Oh,
and
that's
my
why it was so
sunglasses
dusty.
Survive.
are perfectly fine.
So these things are actually indestructible for the contents. Okay. So there you go.
That's not an official statement. We're just going to go ahead and cover
Thank you
ourselves
for
there.
pointing that out, Highlander. We did need the infomercial. Obertowski is joining us from YouTube. He says, hello, Mr. Gruber. Welcome. Facebook, Anthony Venditti says, correct. In the future, what do we do to make money? I personally refuse to use those automated things in a McDonald's or supermarkets. If we continue down this path of this much automation, what do we do for money? Are we all going to be in computer repair business? Or making robots, maybe? Well, wait a minute. The robots are going to be making themselves. You
Yep.
remember that was one of the early Elon things on stage where he showed a robot actually assembling a
Another,
part of a robot. Yeah.
yeah. Well, imagine a world where you don't have to have money.
Mhm.
Everything is just in great abundance everywhere all the time. That's the utopia version of it. But also, if you don't like automated systems, what happens when you pull up to the drive-through and it's such a realistic AI and a human voice, you don't know that it's an automated system.
Right. We're going to get into that with the Chinese dolls here in a moment. But what would happen to crime in an age of abundance? Would it be necessary?
I don't think so.
I wonder
Taking
if-
other people's stuff, you've got everything you need. You can have everything you want. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aaron.
I wonder if this is going to revolutionize the small business market to where now I don't have to pay employees, human employees. I can just have, humanoids, robots, Optimus, do the little tasks that I would pay somebody to do, for $7.25 an hour or
Everybody's going to
$10.50
be
an
a
hour.
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
owner now.
Yeah, well,
business owner.
Yeah, I mean, if you had a robot, like say at home that was doing dishes and doing stuff, it's like, hey, when you're done with that, why don't you go and package up, some products and ship them out to UPS? I mean, now you have an assembly line full of workers that you don't have to pay; you just have to charge them up.
Yeah. Or you send them down the road to your neighbors to do some landscaping for them, and he generates revenue. He or she generates revenue. Can you genderize a robot? I guess you could. We're going to get into that in the Chinese part here, but it's a tantalizing thought, especially to business people, because with machines doing the work, you now have a 24/7 activity, no vacations, no holidays, no labor issues. They don't complain.
Could
They
work
just get the job
24
done.
hours a day.
Yeah.
No 8-hour workday.
Right? No illnesses, sicknesses, no emotional meltdowns. Oh, I could go on and on. I mean, this list is probably a mile long, but it's coming, folks. And of course, the real question is going to be, what will we then end up doing? And I include myself. Even business owners at some point in time will have AI running their operations. So one final thing before we get into the Chinese stuff, there is another Chinese Walker S robot. And apparently there is a Chinese automaker that's already using humanoids in the manufacturing process. These humanoid robots are working at Dongfeng Motor. It's a Chinese state-owned type company. And it's partnering up with the robotic firm UB Tech to automate its manufacturing process.
Got the image up.
There we go. It almost looks like one of those 50s type sci-fi movie robots, doesn't it? Yeah.
Looks like
Or the Wizard of Oz. Do you remember? Who was the character that had that kind of a chest plate?
in the Wizard of Oz? The
Wizard
Tin
of
Man?
Oz. Tin Man, that's it. Yeah, there you go. All right, so these Walker S humanoid robots will carry out tasks on the production lines. including doing things like safety belt inspections, door lock testing, body quality testing, oil filling, and label applications. They're going to be integrated with the traditional machinery to handle more complex scenarios as well. This thing stands 5'5" tall, so it's a little bit short, communicates with the factory systems, and shares collected data in real time. Through hands-on training, these robots are expected to enhance their capabilities in assembling components as well. Now, Dongfeng is using it. NIO, which is also a major, Chinese auto manufacturer, also already uses them in their manufacturing plants. NIO, by the way, is the EV manufacturer that is making the battery swap stations.
Yeah.
And we're all shaking our heads and going, why? The time to charge an EV battery pack is getting shorter and shorter. And when it gets to the level of a gas station trip, within 3 minutes, you've got a tank of gas, it's no longer going to be relevant to have a swapping station, we think anyway. But so they're pretty excited about these robots that are infiltrating the workplace. Got another one here. Go up to this one. Bear with me. And this is a Chinese company that is producing sex dolls. Now, we all knew this was going to happen. I mean, sex dolls are already being produced. They're now being automated. They're turning robotic, and they're actually able to now communicate, which is something that I don't think sex dolls were able to do up until just now.
I don't think so. Probably not.
So there's a picture of this. You can throw one up, China sex bots. The article goes, future versions of the dolls will be able to perform housework, and it's Starpery technology, by the way, that's creating these, and they could one day compete with Tesla's humanoid robots. Well, I agree. I mean, given the Tesla humanoid robot, the Optimus, and this one, which one would you choose if they're able to provide the same capabilities? We'll probably get some comments here shortly. So what they say about these large, this is the world's largest sex doll producer now, Starpery. They are working on advanced AI-powered robots that are more interactive and conversational. They're training their own large language model for the product, and they will have prototypes ready by August. That's a couple months away.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
In male and female forms, according to the South China Morning Post. Technological challenges remain, they say, particularly in achieving realistic human interaction. While simple dialogue is easy, creating interactive responses involves complex model development by specialized software companies. The new dolls will be equipped with more sensors so they can react quickly to movements and speech, creating a more convincing emotional connection. Now that needs to be unpacked. Emotional connection. How many guys are going to fall in love with their sex doll?
Yeah.
Especially when it's able to do some therapy with them. Hi, honey, how was your day? Once they come home, and supper's prepared, and they never argue because they're not programmed to argue. I mean, we can go down a rabbit hole here, and I better stop because my wife may be watching this. The new dolls, they say, more sensors, all right. The roadmap, they say, includes more practical robots as well. In a few years, it plans to offer some that can perform basic household chores. They will be smart service robots. They can perform complex services for people with disabilities and the elderly. Now, there's a useful application. Home care, for example. Elder care.
Yeah.
And, of course, making sure that they get their medications on time, that they don't wander out and fall into the pool, whatever else kind of dangerous things exist that require a level of scrutiny and a level of, oversight. They say that in this article, Tesla is working on related products dubbed Tesla bots. They don't call them sex bots, though. This week, they say Elon affirmed his commitment to developing them in the company's 2024 annual shareholder meeting. He said robots will be able to cook, clean, teach children, and perform factory work, among other tasks. Earlier this year, Musk agreed with a post on X that predicted that every middle class American household will have one within 7 years.
Hippie, we got some questions and
Yeah,
we're a little over time here.
I'm going there next. YouTube, Sammy Alzrani says, pretty insightful image. We're talking about the Chinese doll. You're right. YouTube, Highlander, go Team Cass. All right. Sam Alzrani from a YouTube, Sammy Alzrani also says, Tesla RM is the most
Right now.
Oh,
Right now. Sorry, that's what that means right now.
Okay. Is the most fascinating and reliable robot a human have counted so far. That a human have counted so far. Okay. YouTube, Robert Obertowski. I'm sorry. Yeah, there it is. Obertowski. He's been with us, of course, the entire time. Why would you exist at all if your only job here is to work when we don't have to work and there's no need for us? Well, now we get back into, will robots or the machines or AI consider us relevant and will allow us to continue to inhabit the planet? And there's a Hollywood movie there.
Consciousness download is what
Yeah.
we need.
Yeah. Highlander says, I just watched a brand new video and it showed male and female robots. I think that's a good idea. Genderize the robots. Instagram, AT9810-100. You mean dealer management systems? We're probably referring to something previous there.
Mhm.
TikTok's joining us. Hani1843 says hi, hello. Facebook, Anthony Venditti says, so how does the business owner pay for these robots and or repair these machines if everything is free? Are the robots free to the business? Do they own them as well? No one's going to give things away for free. I can never see that happening. Too much greed to give things away.
Yeah, I think that's right now train of thought. I think kind of like with EV charging, I think we need to retrain our brain on how we're going to be using and getting these robots. I mean, it's not going to be like, hey, tomorrow Optimus is available and boom, we're going to be able to buy 20 of them at $10,000 a pop and start a business. You know, I'm thinking it's going to be more in the corporate world for a little bit, and then they're going to trickle down to, you know, the homeowners part for dishes and daily duties, and then after that it'll start to evolve and trickle down to like a small business owner, like that, you know.
Well, the term that was used was greed, for example, and greed is generally a judgment about not having as much as someone else, and you have envy and greed. If you have everything that you would ever need, there's no need for those emotions anymore.
Yeah.
And you can get anything that you want. But I think Aaron makes a good point. Based on today's reality that we live in and the structure we live in and the societies that we're in, these are normal things that we're concerned with and are, need to consider. But as the future evolves, this will all change. Highlander says, my buddy, Dr. Scott Walters, is an excellent resource for all things in humanized robots. TikTok, Hani1843 says, men will have no value in an AI world. Facebook, Anthony Venditti, I love this one. No one will be getting married if these dolls do the housework and cooking, etc.
Yep.
Highlander, the male robots surprisingly are outselling the female robots. Thank you for bringing this up. I follow all things robots. That's why Doctors Scott and I are friends. Now, there's an interesting question. Why would the male robots outsell the female?
That is a good question.
Yeah. All right. So the final thing that I have for you here is Nvidia eclipses Microsoft as the world's most valuable company. I don't think there was that was a surprise, but the market cap for Nvidia reached $3.3 trillion as the stock rallied last week. And it's nearly tripled in 2024, actually. And of course, Nvidia makes AI chips. That's fundamentally their claim to fame. So that looks like the new Wall Street darling. And shares did climb 3.5% to 135.58 just this week. All right. We'll have more for you in the next podcast Wednesday. Some things I didn't get to here, and it's going to be the impact of Hollywood and Sora and some of these prompt to video type programs. We really appreciate you all joining us. This is an exploratory interactive session, as you've noticed. We don't have all the answers, but we certainly are going to go down some rabbit holes and try to create some answers in this crazy world that is changing faster than most of us can keep up with. So we'll see you next week. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm Pete Gruber.